Good morning and welcome to Fast Horses Today. Today is Sunday. It is April 20th and it is Easter Sunday. So blessed Easter to all who are observing the holiday. I hope you have a wonderful day. We do have racing from Santa Anita. Historically, Santa Anita has run on Easter Sunday. I know it's one of a few tracks that usually does. And, the timing of it works out perfectly for us here in the Midwest. I mean, they have a 2 o'clock post time here in Chicagoland, and that really kind of works out well to bet the races after your Easter brunch. So it's 12 o'clock post time there Pacific time, 2 o'clock here Central time. So it works out for a lot of folks. So today they've got an interesting card. Good collection of races. I'm going to skip over the first couple. I've got some races that I want to make some win bets on. And, you could certainly use these win bets and maybe use these selections, for multi-race wagers. But, I'm going to make 3 win bets today over at Santa Anita. So let's get started. So I'm going to go with the fourth race. Fourth race is a approximate post time of 1:36 there Pacific time, so 3:36 here in the Central time zone. It's a 6.5 furlong dirt race, first level allowance race for California breds. And this is your, first level allowance, or you can put your horse in for the 20,000 claiming tag, which some of them have done to qualify for this race. And, good collection of horses here. I've got a win bet I'm going to make here. I'm going to play the 7 horse, was Michi's Express. Now, Michi's Express does draw in with the 20,000 claim tag. So Andy Mathis, claimed this horse off of Steve Knapp. And, we're going to see if Andy Mathis, can improve this horse off of Steve Knapp. So, he claimed the horse out of this same level here in the California allowance race. And he claimed the horse for 20, so he puts him back in for 20. And, this horse has been running with, a lot of nice horses, in his last several starts. And, this drop to California allowance, it should, it's definitely softer for him, and it should, work out for him. So here's the question on Michi's Express. This horse has been running long for quite a bit of his career, and, has run well long. They're shortening up to 6.5 furlongs. I think that shorten up should work out for him, coming out of a mile race. There's certainly a speed in this race, but it looks to me like there's speed that just doesn't hold. Like, a horse like Disobey certainly is fast, but doesn't really, hold his speed. So, if they cook it up early, I can definitely see Tiago Pereira finishing up very strongly with Michi's Express. He's 2-1 in the program, so if we can get 2-1 on the horse, I think it's worth a win bet there in the fourth race with the 7 horse Michi's Express. All right, now let's go over to the 6th race of the day. Now the 6th race does start your pick 5, your late pick 5. And, they really carded a doozy here for the folks. This is a $5,000 condition claiming race, 6 furlongs on the dirt. And these are for horses that have been based in Northern California, or if you want to put your horse in for $5,000. So this race, they had to dust off all these saddle cloths here at Santa Anita in the tack room because they've got 14 horses signed on. So, yeah, they dusted off the 12, 13, and 14 saddle cloths that they don't use too much there at the track. And, ended up getting a full field of horses here. So, certainly, competitive bunch here. Horses have been running in and around this distance. But I've got a win bet I'm going to make here. I'm going to go all the way to the 14. The 14 being Trinidad for Brendan Galvin and Tyler Bays. Now, Brendan Galvin had a tough winter-spring meet over at Santa Anita. Just tough meet there. But it looks like, now that they've turned the page over to the Hollywood meet, he's had a couple horses run over the past, week or so now, and his horses have run pretty well. So I like Trinidad here. 8-1 in the program. Tyler Bays takes the call. Bays has ridden this horse the last couple times, that he's run. Now, I feel in his last 2 races, he's run some even races. He was competitive there for a while with some horses that are just better. He ended up running with Wound Up, who Wound Up ran off quite a bit of a win streak there this winter spring at Santa Anita, winning a few races in a row. And Trinidad ended up running up against Wound Up, in a turf race, which I don't think, he wants to turf there. So, back to the dirt. Ended up running up also against Jerry Spirit. And Jerry Spirit has run off a few races in a row, too. So, he's got, run up against some sharp horses, just kind of ran even races. I think this is a big-time drop in class here. 8-1. I like this outside post. Tyler Bays, can certainly win, races with a, group like these. And, let's see if Galvin, has his horses going in a better direction here. So far, like I said, he's had a couple starts. His horses have run well. So we'll see maybe a better meet in the Hollywood meet here from Brendan Galvin. So I'm going to make a win bet on the 14, Trinidad, in the 6th race. All right, now let's go over to the 8th race. 8th race of the day is a starter allowance, and this is a 6 furlong dirt race, and this is also restricted starter allowance. These are fillies and mares, based in Northern California, or have started for 50,000 and not won 2 races. So, it's another Northern California style race, and I got a horse that I picked out of here that I like, and I'm going to make a win bet on this horse. That being the 9 horse, Manier. Manier for Andy Mathis. Andy Mathis does have a couple live horses today, so we'll see. Andy Mathis is a trainer that he's definitely won his share of races in Southern California. Even when Northern California was still running, he was a regular trainer there. He would bring horses to Del Mar every summer and do pretty well. So certainly Andy Mathis knows how to win races in Southern California, and he's also shown it this year with a pretty good record. So Manier is 4-1 in the program. Ayuso takes the call. Ayuso rode this horse last time. I really liked her win last time out. She had come off a bit of a layoff. She hadn't run since September back in the Del Mar summer meeting. And they brought her out April 4th, and she ended up breaking her maiden in a maiden 50,000 state bred race. So I think that, that's type of race certainly fits with these. But she was on the rail that day, and she kind of was stalking, on that rail and finished up pretty nicely. I like the outside draw. I think she could stalk a lot better there from the outside and finish up nicely. And I think that Manier, should get it done here in this 8th race. So I'm going to make a win bet on the 9 horse Manier. All right, now let's recap the day and recap the tickets. Okay, so for today, Easter Sunday, April 20th, over at Santa Anita, we've got 3 win bets to make here on this day. And we're going to start off in the 4th race, betting win on the 7. The 6th race, win on the 14. And then the 8th race, win on the 9. So that's 3 win bets today. If you want to bet these win bets, or if you want to use these selections for your own multiple race wagers, I wish you luck on whatever you decide to do today. Let's wish the folks over at Santa Anita a happy Easter and very safe racing today. Let's wish ourselves some luck and some good trips. Maybe we'll get some good results on these bets. So again, thank you so much for watching Fast Horses Today, Easter Sunday. You can like, dislike, make comments. Do me a favor, if you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button. It just puts you on the feed. When new content gets created, it gets served to your feed. Thank you to those who have done so already, who have gotten some new subscribers, and really appreciate that. Thank you so much. So again, I really appreciate that you watch and listen to Fast Horses Today on the holiday. Hope you enjoy a nice holiday with your family. And we will be back next week, starting on Friday, for more coverage over at Santa Anita. So again, blessed Easter to everybody, and good luck today in your plays at Santa Anita, the great race place. Have a wonderful day.